Will you dare to love? Millennials and Gen Z, I want you to order my new book, Millennial and Gen Z Guide to Marriage, Love in the Age of Lies, Deception, and Mistrust by Natural Ferreira, because this is our time. Available today on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. So jumping right back into it, I want to talk to you guys about Halle Bailey at the SAG Awards. She looked absolutely stunning. She always looks very beautiful, but I also just get from her very down-to-earth, warm energy. So I really love seeing her there. I just want to say we love and support you, Halle, girl. The thing is America is very, very liberal and progressive in many ways, right? But in so many ways, it's still kind of lagging behind in its open-mindedness. You know, I'm American, but I live in Europe. And there's this thing where they say that, what do they say? They say that the most conservative, I think they say the most liberal American is a fairly centrist European. And that's not always the case. Sometimes I feel like Europeans, especially depending on the country, like I live in France, they're more conservative. But in terms of just open-mindedness, sometimes America just has its moments. And when The Little Mermaid came out with Halle Bailey, which, guys, The Little Mermaid was such a huge part of my childhood. So I did do coverage on my channel about The Little Mermaid back when it came out. And seeing it in theaters was so euphoric and so, how do you want to say, nostalgic for me. But it was also something that was so new and inspiring as well. Seeing a person who looked more like me on the screen, you know, than the original character. You know, Ariel has red hair. Of course, she has pale skin. And this was something that was groundbreaking. It was revolutionary. And a lot of pushback, mostly from what seemed like white conservatives, just really had a problem with the lead of Little Mermaid being black. Because I feel like in their rational minds, they just couldn't re-envision this old classic with a different race in it. It's like in their heads, it's like the woman was white before, why not have a white person again? But for black people, and there were some black people as well who said, you know, why do we always have to have leftovers? Why don't we get a new character? And I hear that as well. But, you know, I told this in my review of the movie, but there was a little black girl, you know, who was the age that I was when I saw the original Little Mermaid. And I could hear her behind me laughing. I could hear her behind me humming and getting out of her chair. Her mom had to tell her to keep telling her to sit down because she was just so flippin' excited. There were people of all races, all ages too in the theaters. There were older people, there were younger people, and they really how do you want to say, reacted very fondly to Halle Bailey. So I think this is this thing where we have to look at the young woman's raw talent. I mean, she's very talented. She's also beautiful, not just on the outside, but on the inside. And you can really see that. And her voice is wonderful. You also have to look at the age thing. You know, this is a film that people of all ages really enjoyed. I would say it's right up there with Barbie. I did not see Barbie, but as far as the sort of family factor, you know, where the whole family can see it, I think it was engaging on that end. And then it was also engaging on the end of, this was something that was answering certain social questions, you know, certain social complexities that were on the minds of people. And I feel like Halle has not let pressures, you know, of what trolls say on social media, what extremely polarized people online say, get to her, you know. And she sort of kept that beautiful spirit, and I could see that. And when you see that, particularly within women, as a, you know, the female community, and within the black community, when there are things like this, where there's an underdog being pushed into a situation Where if it's with women, you know, where let's say for instance there is a CEO and all of the positions of that CEO position previously were male, and there's finally a woman in there, and everybody's ridiculing that woman for reasons we know is around sexism. And I'm not a bleeding heart feminist or anything like that, but this is the world that these are real questions that we have to think through. Often women will swoop in to defend them, you know, to advocate for them. And I'm a believer that nobody can really advocate for groups better than the groups in which those people come from, representatives of those groups. You know, for instance, my sister who works in the military, a high-ranking position within health in the military. At one point, she had to work on a Native American reservation in Phoenix, Arizona. It was actually in Flagstaff, and I actually got to visit her, seeing her sort of in, you know, that zone. And sometimes when you have displaced groups like that, for example, if it's with the Native American reservations, or if it's with the Black community, if it's with the women's community, if it's with, let's say, you know, any other minority, like, it helps to have a representative face from that group, because nobody will advocate, like I said, like that group. And I feel like that for Halle. I feel like the Black community has had her back from the beginning, and it hasn't been super overstated. I haven't been seeing people screaming about it, you know, on social media, you know, oh, Halle, they're just judging her because she's Black, blah, 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 blah. You know, I haven't seen that, you know, the way that some people will do for Will and Jada, or whoever it is, Drake, or maybe it hasn't been to that level. But in spaces online, I do see people reacting very well to her performance. And I see people kind of, you know, just like in a very organic, natural way, just basically saying, I got your back, sis. Like, I got your back. And I got your back, girl. We love you. This was exemplified. And I don't want to assume to speak for someone. You know, I don't want to assume to speak for someone. I know that these conversations are difficult. They're nuanced. My husband is white. We have lots of these conversations where sometimes it's difficult. But if you push further, sometimes you get to a deeper, more rich, profound place. And I don't want to speak for anyone, but Sterling K. Brown, I've got this article here. If you guys haven't seen it, just look at the interaction between Halle Bailey and Sterling K. Brown on the red carpet with this news, how do you even want to call it? Like the paparazzi, the people, the reporters, I guess you'll call it, who are out there sometimes talking to the actors or whatever. And Sterling K. Brown basically expressed that sentiment for Halle in that moment, you know, because as someone who's got this little, you know, channel, which I hope grows, but right now it's quite little. But even from this, I can see, just from the color of my skin, just from my parts, not to like, you know, but just from my parts, my skin, you know, maybe my cultural background as an American. Sometimes people just assume I'm like some stupid girl that fell off the back of a cabbage truck, you know. And I'm like, you know, I have 7 years of higher education, you know, worked 10 years in corporate America, but hey, what do I know? But, you know, I think that sometimes people really underestimate you. And even before my professional or higher education experience, I had a lot of other stuff. I went to an art high school. You know, came from this crazy, wacky family. I'm one of 8 kids. You know, there's a lot of things, but people on the face value, they will look at you and they'll assume. And I think every person who might be from a, you know, marginalized group, whether you're a woman, whether you are from the Native American reservation, or you grew up on a reservation, whether you are an Arabic, a person from an Arabic speaking country, you know, or you are African American, or you're Hispanic American, or you're second generation immigrant, whatever it might be, I think sometimes you understand that struggle, and people will give you a hand up, and it might not even be a hand up in a tangible way. It might just be like, I got you, sis. And I feel like that is what transpired between Sterling K. Brown. I've loved Sterling K. Brown since Army Wives. Like, dude, I love Sterling K. Brown because he was basically like the I don't even know how to call house dad. You know, I guess you call it like a housewife. He's like a house husband. I don't know, of the group. And I mean, he's a great actor, and he's also got a great spirit. Loved him in Supernatural, and I feel like he had to give her that moment because a lot of us have been in that space. We've been in that space where we've been in the room and we've been the only woman, we've been the only person of color, we've been the only LGBTQ person, LGBTQ plus person. You guys know what I'm getting at, right? Or even deeper than that. You could have been the only Republican person, not to eliminate people. You could have been the only conservative person. You could have been the only white person. You could have been the only European. You could have been the only Spanish person, Latino person, fat person. You know, you get it. It's just sometimes when someone who's been through the same thing that you've been through kind of just says like, I got you, bro. I got you, sis. It's really, really refreshing. So this is from E.T. It says, Halle Bailey sheds tears as Sterling K. Brown and his wife praise her during SAG Awards moment. The 23-year-old actress grew emotional as the couple showered her with praise for her performance in The Little Mermaid. Ah, guys, I had that Little Mermaid on VHS. I'm getting such memories. It says Halle Bailey was just overcome with emotions at the 2024 Screen Actors Guild Awards after Sterling K. Brown and his wife, Ryan Michelle Bath, paused their red carpet interview with E.T.'s Kevin Frazier to shower the 23-year-old actress with high praise for her portrayal in The Little Mermaid. The other thing is her age. I mean, look, she's young, but she's already so talented. The other thing, I think the SAG Awards, I also think there was probably a lot of emotions around those awards because we all see it happening right now. We see the corporate greed that just is consuming every facet of our lives that just didn't, you know, even 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. It's everywhere and it's touching everything, including, you know, actors, including film and television, including the corporate space, including politics, including government, including infrastructure, including construction. I mean, everything. And I was thinking about farmers. Even farmers are getting out there and protesting because of this greed that is just, you know, slashing everyone's living wage, and the middle class is just completely disappearing. It's like either you're ultra wealthy or you're poor. And I have the feeling that people think of actors as being hyper wealthy, and sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. And sometimes they really aren't getting paid what they're due, you know. And not even just that, they're not being heard, you know. Like, they're really not being heard. They feel like they don't have a voice. They feel like they're just a part of a machine. They're cogs in a machine pumping out gunk. I'm going to talk about film a little bit later. I have a theory on why film is so kind of crap right now. But if you look at it, since about 2010, arguably before, maybe even 2004, television and movies have gotten real lazy, right? They've gotten real lazy. It's just like, oh, okay. It's like some movie exec just says, oh, this has kind of worked in the past. So yeah, let's do that. But I mean, it's disconcerting to say the least. And it can be, can make you feel a little hopeless, can make you feel a little faithless. But when you band together with other people to advocate for what you believe in, that's when you get somewhere. And so I feel like that's what the actors and the writers are doing with SAG-AFTRA. And I feel like good for them, because I feel like that is even seeing what, you know, the automakers, the UAW protests, the farmers protest. I feel like even the people who are protesting about this, you know, abortion stuff, this is the stuff that really is going to inspire others to get up and advocate for what they believe in. Because otherwise, the powers that be that are pulling the strings will just keep doing what pumps out money and pushes their strange interest forward. So anyway, the sweet moment unfolded Saturday at the Shrine Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles as Bailey was in the middle of her interview with E.T.'s Nichelle Turner. And she literally was in the middle of the interview. I remember this. Bailey had mentioned how much she admires the This Is Us star and his wife, prompting Turner to interrupt the couple's interview to relay the sentiment. I love This Is Us too. It says, and the feeling was mutual. She's lovely, Brown gushed. She represented so well for us. So what do you guys think that us means? Put that down in the comments because, you know, based on the kind of little intro I just gave there, I feel like that us really breaks past race. You know, it is race, but it's so much more. It's being a part of a human collective. It's them being actors. It's them advocating for the SAG stuff we just talked about. The vibes. I'm getting so many vibes, literally. I mean, we were streaming tears at the end of it because you were beautiful. Your soul is beautiful. Your talent was radiant. If you had done it and you were bad, nobody would be messing. But you killed it. That says it all, right, guys? Like, that pretty much says it. And I feel a little bit of that in there. You know, if she was just hot mess, of course I think people would still be buzzing about it. People would still be saying, oh my God, look at this. This is crap. Did you see what they put out? Oh my God, the stuff sucked. Did you see how she was looking so busted and crusty? Oh my, she's such a bad actress. She can't even read a line with a little bit of personality. Like, I can just imagine all of the comments. It would have been something like that. But that, you know, haters pretty much are the loudest when you got your stuff going on, when you got your groove going on. So I would like to know what you guys think. Tell me about that. You know, was it that this was an issue of, you know, were we being overly paranoid? Were we being overly paranoid? Was this not about race at all? Was it more just about the sanctity of the storyline? I guess people feel that attached to The Little Mermaid. I mean, I get it. I also explained how I felt quite attached to it as it's a part of my childhood and I'm nostalgic. But if they chose to say, for example, have The Little Mermaid cast as an Asian American woman, Asian American girl, whatever, woman, girl, I would be fine with that. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would say, actually, good for them. You know, good that they're getting some representation in there. Good that some Chinese American or Asian American girl or Asian girl or any girl could, you know, see themselves, but particularly that an Asian person could see themselves in that, especially since oftentimes you don't see people of color getting those leading roles. So are we being overly sensitive, or was this an issue or a question of the richness of the movement that's happening around activism, including SAG? Or was it more just that human element? I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments.